Hey, what's up you guys? It's Six. Welcome back to my channel. So I did it. I finally have decided to jump into the brush theory. So if you guys haven't seen this trend going around on Instagram or possibly other social medias, I've only seen it on Instagram so far, but maybe it's floating around in other places. Basically, what brush theory is this theory that using different brushes can kind of alter the way that your image looks because you naturally react to the brush that you're using, which I think is very true. It's something I've experienced many times before, which is why every time I try out a new program, I spend hours hunting for a brush that seems like the most perfect, comfortable fit for me. So I thought that since I am a staunch believer in this, I would give it a try, especially because I've been seeing so many other people's as well. I personally decided to give myself a couple of rules when it comes to this challenge. I've seen it done a few different ways. I've seen people do fully rendered illustrations. I've seen people just do sketches, just do line art. I decided to do what I would call technically line art, but more like a glorified sketch, just because I feel like doing a fully rendered illustration wouldn't quite get the same effect for me personally, because I am so nitpicky with my artwork. I feel like they would all come out looking relatively the same, whereas if I did a sketchy sort of line art type situation, I wouldn't be as picky. I would just be a little closer towards the brush. But if I did a full rendered illustration, they would all look relatively the same by the end, I think. If you guys want to see me do a full rendered version of this, definitely let me know. But for now, line art it is, which I also thought would be fun because I almost, if not never, do line art on camera. So let's get into our first brush. So the first brush that we have is none other than my favorite brush, my everything brush that I use for literally everything, which is the quintessential thick pencil brush. It's from Fossil Forager on Gumroad. It is free. I'll have it linked down in the description. You can donate to the artists on there on Gumroad, which I would highly recommend because this is an incredibly amazing brush. But again, it is free, so if you're on a budget, this is a great brush. I use it for, I'm not kidding, every single thing. I literally did a video on it. Here's the thumbnail, if you want to go and give that a look. But I love it. I use it for everything. It is so comfortable for me. It's very flowy. I feel like for me personally, I like brushes that have a little bit of a stabilizer, but not so much stabilization that I can't control it. And I feel like this is a very nice, happy medium. It's very smooth. I love the texture of this brush as well. It's not too grainy, but it's also not it's not completely opaque. It's still got some what do they call it? When the opacity tapers at the end, it's got some of that. And it's just overall, it's a really good brush. Ironically enough, this is not my favorite line art of the bunch. You'll see the next one, spoiler alert, is actually my favorite of the three, which was really shocking because again, I use this for every single thing. So I was really expecting this to be my, of course, obvious favorite. It wasn't even my easiest to work on. It was the longest of the 3 speed paints that I did for this video, which is so interesting to me. I'm thinking maybe the reason that it was so long is because I was so nitpicky with this one, and then I was a bit looser with the other 2, but we'll get into that. I definitely went more along the lines of line art for this piece than I did for the other 2. Interestingly enough, I feel like this isn't really indicative of my style with this particular illustration. It's so strange. This was the first thing I happened to draw on this particular day, so maybe that has something to do with it. The sketch also was super loose. I've been drawing faces that are really wide lately. I did this sketch back in January, so maybe there were a couple of things that attributed to this being not my favorite. It's not my least favorite, but it's not my favorite. You'll see my least favorite. My least favorite, fun fact also, is my husband's favorite of the bunch, so that is really interesting to me. Anyway, I think what attributed to it was it being an older drawing. I did the sketch in January, like I said, and then just my art style has been shifting quite a lot while I'm working on these as well. Not just because of the brush, but just because of where I am illustration wise. So if this looks different than what I would normally draw, I wouldn't say significantly, but like definitely there's like I'm in a weird middle place right now. I don't know where my style is going. I don't know what I am doing, but I am enjoying myself, and that is the most important thing. But with this particular drawing, I was very picky with it. I did a lot of liquefying, which, by the way, I did set myself a few rules for this challenge. I did allow myself to use the liquefy tool and the eraser. I know nobody said that you can't, because I haven't actually really seen this done in a YouTube video format before. I've usually seen them as like GIFs on Instagram again, but I decided I would give myself a few rules, and that is that the liquefy tool is okay because I would use that during my standard line art process, and then I can use erasers, but the erasers have to be set to the same tool. So for example, I'm using the quintessential thick pencil brush here, which means that my eraser also has to be that same tool, and then for the other two as well, I'll be using the Mercury pen here in a little bit, and the wet acrylic brush. So those also, the eraser has to be set to those two, because they'd be the same texture and stuff like that, and because in my own personal work, I like to have my eraser set to whatever brush I did my line art with. That way the texture stays consistent throughout the piece, because if I have it set to a different layer, like for example, Thin Render Solid is another brush that I like to use. It's from the Jinx Sketch brush pack. If I were to use that on my eraser, then my lines would look weird because some of my lines would have like a flat end and then the others would have like a textured edge, and I think that looks weird. I don't like that, so I have to have the texture be the same exact thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this brush. Like I said, it is very standard. It is the brush that I use all of the time. Here is the finished piece, and then let's move into the next brush. So the next brush we have here is the Mercury. I believe it's an ink pen. I know it came from Procreate's library. This one and the next one are direct from Procreate's library. I just went and poked through and tried to find some that I believed were interesting and different from what I normally use, because I didn't want to use, for the same reason I didn't want to do fully rendered illustrations, I didn't want to use brushes that were too similar, like 3 different pencil brushes, for example, because again, I'm so nitpicky that they would all, I feel like, come out very similar, but the same for if you want to see me do fully rendered illustrations. If you want to see me use 3 pencil brushes or 3 line art brushes, 3 ink brushes or what have you, let me know and I will do that as well, because this was a really fun challenge and I will do it multiple times. Why not? Anyway, I didn't want to choose any that were too similar, so I tried to choose some with some interesting texture that I still thought that I would enjoy working with. I definitely did not want to use brushes that I felt like I would hate using, because I would not be able to finish the drawing. I'm telling you, I am so incredibly picky. If I do not like the tool that I'm using, either the illustration is not getting finished or the tool is not getting used. And so for the sake of this video, I had to choose ones that I thought that I would maybe like, but were still different enough. Mercury, I can't recall if it's in the ink section or if it's in the sketching section or if it's in the painting section, but it's somewhere. It's somewhere in that Procreate library, and this brush shocked me for multiple different reasons. One just being the amount in which I enjoyed using it, to the point where several times throughout working on this piece, I was like, should I be switching to this brush? Should this be my new everything? I obviously can't use it for everything, because if you can't tell from the speed paint, the Mercury brush actually has like these little ink splatters throughout it, so there's a little bit of a color jitter. It doesn't like change the actual color so much as it changes the opacity of the brush, so it gets a little bit lighter, a little bit darker in some areas, which I actually find really charming for this particular purpose, whether it's sketching or inking. I feel like it would make a nice ink brush, but as you can tell, I'm being very loose with this piece because I think just the texture was new for me, and then the stabilization as well. It was a little bit, I feel like, I can't exactly remember if it was a little bit more or a little bit less than my thick pencil brush, but whatever it was, the stabilization wasn't quite where I would normally work with, so I think it made me a little bit messier, but I think that worked in my favor for this particular piece, because it had me immediately in the mindset of, okay, if I can't be super neat, then I can be loose. I tried to be neat in the beginning, particularly around like the jawline area. I was going in and I was like lining things very precisely, and then I was coming in with the eraser and trying to neaten things up, and then by the time I got to around her hair, I was like, no, you know what, I'm gonna embrace the looseness. And I think that was really, really helpful for this piece, because it turned out it was so flowy. It had so much more body, so much more vibrance, I think, than the original. I feel like the original, being the one that we did previously, was so stiff, both in the sketch and in the lines that I ended up doing. I felt like it was so stiff, but I feel like this one had a lot of movement. It was very soft in comparison, while still being sharp at the same time. I was able to get that sharpness. You guys saw maybe when I did the one previous, that at the end I ended up moving a lot of things around with the liquify tool, because I just felt like the proportions were very off, very strange, and I ended up rounding it a lot. I made her face a little bit wider, because that's what I've been doing lately, but I didn't feel the need to do that with this piece. It was able to be sharp, it was able to be kind of like more defined, and then just like overall, again, a lot different than the original ended up being. And I was shocked. I mean, I was like, am I gonna start sketching with this brush now, because it is so pretty, it is so nice. I have not switched over yet, but I really, really want to. I might do, so what I've been doing lately is I've been waking up and then realizing that I need to do warm-ups, because I am so very rough in the morning with my illustrations lately. So I've been going in and doing Full Metal Alchemist warm-ups, because I'm a nerd, and that's been super fun. I haven't done it too often yet. I've gone through, I think, like 2 or 3 of them so far. I've just been going on a Pinterest and finding like screen caps and being like, okay, I'm redrawing this. It's almost always Roy and Ed. I want to get to drawing Alphonse one day, but armor is hard to draw. But maybe that'll teach me. I don't know. Anyways, point is, the brush is called Mercury. So of course my brain was like, Mercury, alchemy, I need to do Full Metal Alchemist drawings with this piece. So yeah, maybe I will do a sketch experiment with this brush very soon, because I really do like the end result, which, speaking of, is here right now. Give it a look. This is definitely my favorite of the bunch. And here, finally, we have our last brush, which is the wet acrylic. I can say for certain that this was in the painting section of Procreate, which I stay far away from. Not because I dislike any of the brushes, but just because they don't mesh well, really, with my illustration style. They're pretty standard paint brushes, actually, which is hilarious, because you think, like, every digital artist uses a round paintbrush, right? I can't. Even when I was doing, like, these fully, like, I mean, I want to say semi-real, because that's what I was going for at the time, being high school, and early, like, post-graduation. I was trying so hard to be, like, a fancy semi-realist artist, like Sarah Tepes, like Jenna Drawing, very, like, painterly, like, semi-realist illustrations. A lot of people that do that style. Round brush. I don't understand the round brush. I don't understand it. Maybe it's because my brush sucks, because there's, like, absolutely, like, I don't know how to alter the settings to be what I want. There's, like, no taper to it. The opacity is just dreadful. I don't understand paintbrushes. I don't get them. I really need to, like, take the time to actually go through the library that I have at current and test out some new brushes, because I have been itching to do something to switch up my style. I think because what happened is I started working traditionally again, and there was so much like looseness and flow when working traditionally that I feel like I don't have anymore digitally. I feel like I had it for a while, but now everything's starting to get really stiff. So I'm itching to experiment, which I think is another thing that prompted this particular video. But anyway, point is, painting brush. This is a wet acrylic brush. I don't like it. I don't like it. It was really textured. I didn't think it was gonna be because I was using it smaller when I did the initial like test to see if it would be a brush that I would like to use. And then I made it bigger and I was already filming and it turned out I didn't like to use it. So this is my shortest speed paint of the bunch for sure. I got through this piece very quickly. Something that I found really interesting actually with this particular brush was that I worked on this piece in a different order than the other two. Does that make sense? So like I feel like going off of my memory for both of the previous two, I started out at the jaw and kind of shoulder area and then went into the hair and then the eyes. I did the ears at the same time that I did all the other outlining things, which is what I normally do. In my illustrations, I'll start out at the head and then do the jaw and what have you. But with this piece, I think I literally did the head and then immediately went into the eyes and then the shoulders and then the hair last. So not too much of a different order. Or wait, did I do that? I might have done jaw, eyes, hair, shoulders. It was a weird order. Like I remember noticing as I was working on it that I was doing it differently than I did the other two, and I'm not sure why that is. I think it was just like a matter of me wanting to get through the piece, maybe, getting down some like solid like defining features like the eyes, so that I could kind of make myself like it before we finished it. And yeah, I got through this one really quickly. I wasn't even trying to make it like too neat, so I don't know if this fully counts. I feel like this one was certainly rushed, whereas the other two were created with a little more like thoughtfulness to them, and this one was just kind of like a get it done so I can finish filming. I hate this brush, get it out of my face. And then later on, like I told you guys before, I made the GIF for my Instagram post that will be up alongside this video eventually. I showed my husband, I was like, look what I did yesterday, and he was like, that one's so cute, and I said, which one? And I was trying to like pause the GIF, and it obviously wasn't working because it's a GIF, and then I was like, okay, screw it, and I went into Procreate, and I was like, which one is the one that you like? And he pointed at this one. I was like, you're serious? This is my least favorite. I hated working on this. And he was like, she's so cute. And I was like, oh my god. Oh man. And our order is so different. So for me, my order of most to least favorite would be obviously, if you couldn't already tell, Mercury, and then thick pencil, and then the wet acrylic. But his is wet acrylic and then thick pencil, and then Mercury was his least favorite. And I was like, that is crazy. That is crazy to me that our favorites are opposite. But yeah, I still had somewhat fun working on this particular illustration. I thought it was interesting, again, that I worked in a different order, and also that her features turned out much rounder on this one as well, without me having to use the liquify tool. Just naturally, I worked much rounder and softer, and I think that's partially because wet acrylic, in a way, is a round brush. I would say it has a square shape in the library, so like it's like quote unquote square, but because I have like the little toggle that shows you the circle, like for where your brush is, the shape of your brush, I was just reading it as a circle. I was reading it as a circle, so maybe that helped me to have rounder shapes, whereas like the thick pencil brush is obviously a rectangle, and then I don't even know what I would call Mercury. It's kind of a round brush, but it's like a round brush if it was weird. I don't know. So maybe it was that. Maybe I was like drawn to the shape language of the brush itself, and that helped to round out her features or whatever. But it was definitely really, really interesting. So that is all 4 of our brushes, you guys. I hoped all 3 of our brushes. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you had fun watching me work on the same drawing 3 times in a row, but different each time. I don't know if that was interesting to you guys. If it was interesting, let me know if you want to see more videos like this, and which are you dying to see more? Are you wanting to see fully rendered, or are you wanting to see the same type? Do you want to torture me and make me do more line art? Please say no. Anyway, I love you guys so much. If you have any other video ideas as well, things you guys want to see me do on the channel, things you want to see me work on, please let me know, because I have so much fun doing stuff like this for you guys, and I am running out of video ideas, so please God help me. Anyways, I love you guys so much. A huge shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting me on there. It means the absolute world to me. I love getting to make art for you guys. I am so excited. Little spoiler, so Rocks and Clouds tied for this month, so I plan on doing one illustration as clouds, obviously, and the other one being a gemstone of some sort. But the twist is that I'm not creating characters this month. I'm actually doing like physical paintings, and then scanning them in, obviously, as the print and sticker. I want to get to work with some gouache this month. I've been itching to paint. I painted these beetles a really long time ago. I will try to insert something on screen if I remember, but I had so much fun with them. They were so cute, so much fun, very pleasing to work on. So I want to do something like that, but with clouds and gemstones. I haven't decided what I want to do for the gemstones yet, but I've already decided the cloud painting. I had these little heart canvases, so I'm gonna do a cloudscape with some gouache, and it's gonna be like all clouds, like the whole thing. There's no sky visible. It's gonna be some cutesy little rainbow, little puffy little clouds. They're gonna be so pretty, iridescent, gorgeous, iridescent double, because I got hollow laminate, so the stickers this month are gonna be holographic. Spoiler. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to make hollow stickers for like years now, and I finally have access to the things that will let me do that. So I'm gonna do it. I'm so excited. I'm so freaking excited. But anyways, that is it for this week, you guys. I love you so much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.